going on, everybody? And you are listening to the SANE Show, the show about nothing and everything. And today I have with me entertainment and hospitality professional and founder of Elegance by Taj, my good friend Taj Suri. How are you doing, man?
Fantastic, sir. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
I'm happy to have you on, and it's been a long time coming. You've always been one of the people that I want to have on the show, and and it's not only been a
Thanks.
long time having you on. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. We're going to talk about consumerism. We're also going to talk about finding your niche, and then we're going to do an interview with Ty so that everybody can get to learn a little bit more about him and the things that he has going on, as well as Elegant by Taj. So let's go ahead and hop right into it, Taj.
Yes, sir.
So the first topic, consumerism. So, as I do with all my guests, we kind of talk about what we're going to discuss during the recording. And consumerism was something that came to mind as I was planning this episode. As I mentioned to you earlier, one of the things I always think about too is how we as consumers, like we buy a lot of things and we also produce a lot of things as far as industries and different companies, but then we waste a lot as well. And one of the things that bothers me is how there's like so much food waste. Another thing that bothers me is how technology is great, it serves its purpose, but like there's so much out there, right? And
hmm
it's getting so expensive. And it's like, where do we draw the line? Kind of how I was mentioning to you earlier. So it's like, what are we, you see where I'm going with it? Like, what are
Absolutely.
we doing? Go ahead. You got,
I feel there's definitely a lot of wastage. Just thinking about I have a trip coming up in December going to India, and I googled earlier today how many people are in India. It's about 1.3 billion.
mm-hmm,
And of those folks, just when I got home about 2 weeks ago, I threw out so many clothes and so many items that I had from childhood that I just don't use anymore.
really.
Where there's so many folks in other countries or in other parts of the world, even just right here in the neighborhood, that could use those items that I honestly just threw away.
It's funny you say that because it's as you get older, right? And you look at what you wear, what you have, and things like that, and you throw away what you don't need or you donate. I know I tried the best I could. If it's not worn out, like the shoes I run in and the pants that I've probably been doing work in and got holes in them and stuff.
hmm
I try to donate those things, but one of the things I think about now, I never had like a lot of pair of shoes. Like some people, they had every pair of Jordans or
I
a
know
bunch of
those
different
friends.
boots. Right.
I never had that either.
But for me, I'm more like I cannot think of the name of the guy that he owns one of these shoe companies that makes their shoes out of recyclable material. And one of the things he said, this guy's a billionaire too, and he talked about how he only has like three, four pairs of shoes, like a pair of shoes to work out in, a pair of shoes to wear to work, a pair of shoes to wear around the house, and no, it's only three pairs of shoes. I'm like, that makes perfect sense, because it's like because that's the thing too, right? For me as a consumer, especially being a sales professional, one of the things I think about is, buying things with a purpose. Like, don't
Mhm.
just buy something to buy it. Like, buy it, have reason to buy something. I feel like now, like so many people just buy things just to have it, just to say they have like no, like have a reason to buy something because at the end of the day, you have to live with that purchase, especially if it's a very expensive purchase.
Yep,
So why go out here wasting money on things that we don't need and then have all of this waste, and
absolutely.
then having all of these companies sitting here and producing all of these a mass amount of these units that we don't need and then having them sitting there and being wasted and then losing money and because it's just so much that goes on obviously with the economy and because there's better ways that we can invest this money instead of trying to produce X amount of units and shooting for the stars, which I don't knock companies for wanting to do that, achieve a certain amount of sales. But at the end of the day, you got to be realistic with yourself. Are we going to sell all of this?
One of the
Or
things that comes into play, and coming from California, plastic is banned in, or not banned, but you have to actually pay for your plastic bags.
wow.
Now that I'm back here the last couple of weeks, it's so weird for me to go into a store and pull a plastic bag, and it's like the cashier just puts it in a plastic bag, doesn't even ask you.
Right.
And I was like, oh, the last like 7 years in New York and California, I never used plastic bags. So I actually put plastic bags in the car now, or sorry, I put bags that I've bought in the
Hmm.
car, so I don't have to use any store's plastic bag.
Okay.
So it also comes to a human point where it's like we're hearing about all these natural resources being used, and we're not taking care of it on an individual basis when we have a lot of power. 8 billion of us, and even if majority are not as informed as others, the ones that are
Hmm.
informed do have the power to make that decision, saying, I'm going to use plastic, or I'm going to use a different bag that I've bought.
It's so funny you say that because I read an article by Vox, right? And they were talking about how we try, as consumers, how we try to pressure these companies into making better decisions and also helping to protect the environment. But one of the things they were saying is it falls back on us as well because, like you said, there's 8 billion of us. So therefore, we're the majority, and
Mm-hmm.
that we have majority of the buying power, even though the odds maybe even though you have the 1% that hold most of the wealth. At the end of the day, we make up the number, and that
Absolutely.
we are the ones helping keeping the economy flowing. So you have a really valid point there. You really do, and because that's what I think about too. It's like if we really want to make a difference, like we have to come together as a collective and make a decision together and say we're not going to do this. Just like how we pressure certain companies to do certain things based on them maybe discriminating somebody, or like you see how things they get out on social media and then everybody all of a sudden wants to uprise against that company. Or even we could say with cancel culture, these companies getting rid of, and I don't want to get into that, but you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? People getting on social media and boycotting or pressuring these companies to make certain decisions based on something that happened that didn't sit well with everybody.
Yeah, and I do understand the economy needs to run, the world needs to turn.
Hmm.
But there's a way for companies to have regulation and limitation on it, and it's not going to be something that comes from outside sources. It's got to be the company itself that pushes it. Just like an individual, the company needs to work in the same way. Yes, you might lose $100 here, $100 there, and yes, it might add up. But inevitably, you're saving a planet where you're living on longer.
That's the thing that frustrates me most because it seems like the bigger these companies get, the more they seem to forget that in order to get to where they are, it costs them a lot of money, and then to get to where they want to be is going to cost them more money.
Hmm.
You have to take that loss in the beginning to gain those things, because you have to invest. It's like you hear the foreign companies, mainly like the automakers. You hear them investing billions of dollars in electric vehicle technology, or R&D,
Hmm.
research and development, and here they are. Excuse me for being biased to the Volkswagen Group, but I mean every single one of their brands has got an electric vehicle lined up, ready to go by the year 2025,
Yep.
and already you're releasing things sooner. So things like that, like because they know that's what people want, and they're willing to make that investment, take those losses in the beginning, so that they can have the gains in the near future, because it's
Hmm.
2019, 2025 isn't far off. You look at Tesla.
Absolutely.
They went from, I remember driving by a Tesla lot and not seeing any cars, and now I see Tesla lots full of cars, and seeing trucks carrying Teslas every day.
Yeah. And
So it's there.
I'm looking at a Tesla myself now.
See, prime example.
There you go.
Okay, so let's get into the second topic. I'm really excited about this one. Finding your niche. And again, with my journey and your journey, there's a lot of that going on. Just to
Absolutely.
explain to the listeners what happened to me, I was actually driving trucks for the last 2 months, and just came to realize that it wasn't something for me, and that it took me away from a lot of things. The podcast being one of them, but I had the great opportunity of going out, seeing the country, and seeing America for what it really is. Because we hear about these different parts of the country, and to be out in the Midwest, and all the way north in Amish country, and getting to meet all kinds of people. It was a great experience. So definitely a lot that I got to take away from it. But coming back and realizing that things like podcasting and being in sales and just being a social being that I am, it's like that wasn't for me. But that's all a part of finding your niche, self discovery, like learning about yourself and those things that kind of talked about earlier, as far as strengths and weaknesses. What do you like to do, and playing to your strengths. So I guess what are your thoughts about all of this?
So I'll go ahead and begin with self-discovery. When I first moved to North Carolina, I was a junior starting high school. We moved from a city and a town where I had known people since I was little. We moved because of my dad's business relocating. That was definitely a very challenging 2 years. Mentally, because SATs, the pressure, I mean, having Asian parents and also moving to a new school, kids having their own cliques and not really looking for anyone else to join their groups. I spent a lot of time with my family, my mom, dad, and my brother, and I actually got to know them better through those
Mm,
experiences. The other part of it was just started singing a lot. I'm a Western classically trained tenor, and I
mm.
had an opportunity to really learn my voice, learn who I am, and spend a lot of time with myself or with my family because I didn't have any other friends. From there, going off to college, that expanded my horizon a bit. With my roommates were honestly some of my best friends, and they helped me pull through and actually turn into a really kind human being sometimes.
Being a New Yorker, let me stop. I was going to give you a hard time on that one. It's funny you say that, as far as like getting to college and making really good friends. I mean, honestly, you get to college, that's where you make your bestest of friends, really.
Mhm.
So it's like high school, it's kind of, yeah, whatever. I got some, I have few friends from high school, but people I met in college, or I guess most of them are those who I guess I stuck with most of them than I do the ones in high school. Because I mean, in college is that time where you're really maturing, and and that's really a time where you really learn about who you are, what you like to do. And even though it may not all come together in those first 4 years, because as you and I are seeing, you still travel that journey and discover more things. You really, when you get outside of those doors, and you don't have to worry about studying all the time, and the pressures of passing tests and projects and doing all this thing to get a degree, and you get out there, you start working, and you start learning, and you really start seeing what you can do. I mean, am I right?
Absolutely. Shoot, man, there's a lot of self-discovery that happens in those 4 years because
Yeah.
it's very, very, very structured before that.
Hmm.
You know that you're getting up at 6, 7, whatever it is for whoever, and getting on that bus stop, waiting for the bus. You're
Right.
taking social studies and English and whatever it is else, and you come home. For
Right.
college, that's not what it is. You are thrown in a little bit of, okay, figure out your classes. Are you looking to graduate in this time? Okay, what do you need for that? Yes, there's
Right.
some structure, but a lot of it is on your own. Yes, you can get help with tutors and writing center and professors, but there was a lot more of you figuring things out, which actually helped me through my path in figuring out. And I still haven't found my niche, but I am closer than I was before.
And honestly, I think that's the most important part, really, because if you take advantage of the opportunity, which I believe I did when I was in school, took advantage of the opportunity, I'll be able to figure things out. Because it's like someone asked me the other day. I told them, I said, like they were like, "Are you doing what your degree is in?" And I said, "Yes and no.
Yeah.
More yes." But my degree is entrepreneurship, and they're like, "Well, you don't have a business. You're working for somebody else." Well, I'm like, "But I have this podcast. That's the entrepreneur in me. Something that I started. Something that falls within my skill set. So I
Mhm.
was like, I am. I may not be making any money off of it, but that is not about that. It's really about the enjoyment, and at the end of the day, being able to provide good content for people to listen to. That's what
Absolutely.
that's what this is all about. So like so when after so before answering the question, I'm like teeter totter. Yeah, no. Now I'm like I am. This is
Yeah.
what entrepreneurs, because at the same time I'm building something with this. Real quick shout out to all of the listeners across the world and the people that were subscribing, even though there weren't any new episodes going up. Love you guys. But just seeing and again, because that's what brought me back to. Really, I didn't like wasn't trying to get away from the podcast and didn't want to put it down for that long. But I mean, that's what brought me back, seeing what was happening while I was away. Like, and Nina telling myself, this is what I need to focus on. But
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of thought and confidence that comes over the years. I mean, the more experiences I've had, the more confident I've become in what I don't want to do.
right.
And I think helping me understand what I don't want to do is leading me in a direction where I am getting closer to what I would like to do or like to explore.
Right.
And I believe that it's going to keep changing throughout the course of my life. But with each step and each year, I'm looking to make that a positive growth. And whatever decisions I've made, I'm not going to look back on them in regret.
I love that, man. I really do. Because, I think very few people understand, because I know for me, one of the things I had to deal with recently is just like everyone looking at me as if I wasn't sure about what I wanted to do in my life. It was like, no, I did something for the wrong reason. I had to bring myself back, because it's like you said, you learn what you don't want to do,
Hmm.
you know? And I was thinking as you were talking, I'm thinking like life is like a multiple choice test.
Yeah,
Okay. You don't get it. You're not going to get all the answers to the questions right. I mean, at least in this test. But in trying to get the right answer, you can use the process of elimination. It's like you
absolutely.
said, you don't know you know what you don't like. So okay, we're gonna mark that out. And I'm gonna
Yep.
focus on the rest of the options I have in front of me.
I mean,
Check all
honestly,
that
yeah.
apply, and these
Honestly,
don't.
finding my niche, I would be happy if I find it in my 80s.
Wow.
Till then, I'm enjoying the challenges that come up.
It's a journey. It's a journey.
Yes, and that's the best part. Shoot, man, we could be dead tomorrow.
That's true. It's like, and
You
it
don't
was so
know.
funny. One of my friends, I actually had her on the SANE Show last year, and she was talking about, like, she was on Instagram posting pictures of places she was visiting in Florida. Beautiful, beautiful places, beautiful pictures too. I'm sitting here like commenting and reacting to all of the pictures, and we had a very brief conversation. She's just like, I'm just now starting to realize that life is a journey, because you could see by the pictures she was taking that she's in the moment, and that she's still doing her thing, but she's in the moment, and
Yep.
you could see it, and it was a beautiful thing, man. I totally get where she was coming from with that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I'll say is, I mean, until 3 weeks ago, I was really working. I was working 80 hours, I was working 80 hours a week. I didn't have, honestly, any friends. I'm 27, trying to get to know someone and hopefully start a relationship, but there was no time. I had all this money in the bank and no time to spend it. Living every day for what?
Wow.
I mean, it
So
just
true,
it
bro.
doesn't make sense. I mean,
So true.
why are you working so hard when you're not getting any fruits for what you're doing? You're
Right.
literally just working. So then I said, I want to do something for myself. I still know that I'll be working 80 hours as I ramp this up. The satisfaction of working those hours for myself versus working those hours for a corporation, that's what's driving it.
Makes all the difference in the world.
Because I can't look at the past. I have to enjoy the present moment. And yes, obviously plan for the future, think about the future, but you don't know how long you'll be on this planet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now for my favorite part, the interview. All right, I'm just gonna ask you a few questions and let the listeners get to learn more about you and Elegance by Taj, and also, for you to give them more insight to your journey. First, want to start off by asking, how did you go from North Carolina to New York City to California?
That's a loaded question. I finished my bachelor's in music business from Appalachian State, and I had done internships in New York City for Madison Square Garden, Celebrate Brooklyn, IMG Artists, and I was looking for another opportunity in entertainment, and I was applying for jobs from here. I wasn't getting any interviews at all. I told my parents, this was a day in August, that I went downstairs and I said, I need to move to New York because until I move, nobody's going to call me and interview me. So, my parents maybe took like 10 minutes, and then they went ahead and called a very, very close family friend that I've known forever. Next thing you know, I was living in Long Island. And there it was September, and I was looking for a job, and I got lucky to have gotten one through another friend of mine with Madison Square Garden. It wasn't the exact department I was looking for, but and like you were saying earlier, the opportunity that I took with what I was given is what helped push me to the next step, which was California. But
Right.
understanding the entertainment industry and meeting more and more people, I was given access to entertainment through working for Madison Square Garden
Right.
and building my building trust with my mentors and my
Hmm.
relationship. The access did not open a door that I thought would open for me. And so it opened another door. My mom was talking to a old family friend and I ended up moving to San Jose, California, to be a food and beverage manager for a luxury hotel brand. And it was an 800-room hotel. It had 3 outlets, including 24-hour in-room dining, and I had about 60 direct reports. And this was a great, great, great time for me to learn how to lead others, coach, mentor, build trust, build respect between so many different cultures, and along the way, have a little fun. I was definitely one of those. I was definitely a manager that made everybody laugh. We all danced together, we all sang together, and we got the job done.
Man, I feel like I'm watching a movie, bro. Yeah,
It's like La La Land.
I'm, I can really see it, especially with the New York part. Like we got busy, but we talked so much, and we were, gosh, that entertainment thing was something else. It was a fun time, man.
Yeah.
You helping me helping you a little bit, and me coming up there, hanging out every once in a blue moon, I guess you could say. I didn't get up there as much as I wanted to, but that was a great time, and for me it was great too. Just being able to watch you, do what you did. So I wanted to ask you that, and you be able to tell the listeners, because that was a journey. Like, again, going from the Atlantic, the Mid Atlantic, to up north and all the way out west. So my next question for you is, what are your thoughts on California? I know you kind of talked about it earlier, as far as the initiative, them going green and everything. But I just want you to kind of, I know I got something I want to say too, but what are your thoughts
I
on
know you wouldn't be asking the question if you didn't.
it?
I wish I got to see more of California. I had through the company I was with, I had great, great, great benefits, and was fortunate enough to stay at 8 properties during my 1.5 years with them. But when I was in San Jose, I was either at work or sleeping. I loved California weather. I thought the vibe was really chill, very cool. If I had the opportunity to grow my business and live in a place like that, I would. San Jose itself was a little slow for me.
Really?
But San Francisco kept me going. New York pace was fun.
New York is the place to be if you're young and you really want to get into something. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I loved about New. I tell people, like, when I'm in New York, I'm a different person.
Yeah.
I'll admit I'm probably not as pleasant to be around either, because even being in North Carolina, like, I'm all about my business. I don't do the small talk and all that. Like, I'm let's get it done. When I'm in New York, I love it because it's just like that. So I tell people all the time, as soon as I hop off of the train, it's go time, because as soon as those doors open, everybody's in a hurry to get off and get out of Penn Station and go about their business.
My
And
godfather, he's a playwright, and he would say, "The rush hour of Manhattan, it's a rat race. It's literally
it
like
is.
watching the 2 million rats that live in Manhattan. It's like watching the 2 million rats come out to play."
It's so true.
I
It's so
mean,
true.
they're
And
just so
it's
focused in on finding that cheese. Like,
it's not even funny how true that is. And but here's the thing, right? That's why they get things done there,
Mhm.
because they're they have something in mind that they're focused on, and that they're gonna make sure they get done. Like, they have an objective.
Yep.
When people leave a place like that, that's why it was hard for me coming back home to North Carolina, because I'm like, people are so slow. People like to take their time to do things. Like, just, if you want to do something, do it. Go. Don't waste time lollygagging and
Yeah.
procrastinating. Because honestly, I see a lot of people come to North Carolina, come from New Jersey, New York, come down to North Carolina. They get frustrated because of that. And I had to tell them like, yo, people like to take their time down here, man. So then don't force them, because
it's
if you force them, then all you're gonna do is just push them away.
it's
It's
also
like,
one
go
of the
ahead.
things I noticed here is there are a lot of folks, like, honestly, I haven't met, since I came back, I haven't met one person that was born and raised in Charlotte. And I'm meeting a lot of people right now.
I'm one of them.
There we go. There's one.
I just don't act like it. So again, I like to get things done.
But
Uh,
I have not met one person that is born and raised in Charlotte. And there is a big push of folks coming from outside. So it should speed up a little bit for you.
yeah, yeah. I'm hoping so. I really am. How did Elegance by Taj come to be?
So just about mid-August, I went on a trip to New York. I was with my cousin and some other friends, and we went over to see a friend's place and he started a new restaurant. So we were talking to him, and the idea came up, and I was trying to understand, how did he get into this and what was his drive behind it. And I learned that not only wanted to get into this, but he said, "This is my time to do this." He said, "I can always get a job, but this is my time and my moment to do something on my own." And with that said, I came back to California the next, what was it? It was like a week later. And I said, I think I need to do something on my own. So I started talking to my mother, and she and I came up with the idea because she had been doing some events. And so the both of us said, okay, let's do something together. So at that time, she and
That's
I said,
beautiful.
yeah. So at that time, and one of my closest mentors in California he's my cousin, and he was talking to me and said, if this is what you're after, then I need you to take it full on. Know what you're getting yourself into, learn the market, and know that this is where you're going. You're going into events, you want to manage events, and you want to lead your own, and give it a try. I mean, but give it 100%. Don't be flaky on it. So I thought about it. I thought about it for maybe 4 or 5 days. I kept researching, kept trying to figure out, what could I do in Charlotte and how could I go about it. And what I really enjoy doing is providing the best guest experience. Anyone that is a client of Elegance by Taj should receive the best experience when they're working with me, and then also when I have a colleague or sorry, a guest of theirs working with us. It should never be a point where they feel pushed or the experience is not to their liking. And so working on that guest experience element and pushing the idea that we're here to service clients that are looking for unique experiences. That was our push.
Hmm.
Following luxury standards, keeping in mind the Charlotte market, technology heavy, looking for new ways of doing things, and looking for new experiences. I mean, it's we're looking at corporate and social events.
Hmm.
Mm, So especially for corporate, keeping in mind that a lot of a lot of corporate teams are looking to build teams, right? So they're looking for team building activities.
Right.
And so with the team building activities, there's so much in Charlotte that you can do, from something as easy as going for a golf outing to rope courses to whitewater rafting
Right.
to boat rides to rescue mission things. You can, because there's open fields and barn houses, and
Right.
then you have lakes and rivers and hiking. I mean, there's so much vast majority that you can get into over here.
It's pretty much limitless.
Yeah, and the mountains are so close as well.
Right, right.
So bringing those unique experiences to our clients is what we're after, and bringing it at a competitive rate and advantage.
That's great. So, what does that space look like for you? You know, being in the Charlotte market, and then to compare it to what it may have been. I guess like compare it to a place like New York and a place like San Jose. Like, what does it look like to you?
It's the Charlotte market has expanded a lot in the last 11 years. So much so that I'm really excited to be back here. With the amount of cranes in Uptown, with all the building that's happened around Ballantyne and South End, Dilworth, Myers Park, South Park, so on and so forth, people are coming here. This is a destination right now. And so, yes, the service I'm providing is not for everyone, but the ones that take it on, they won't be disappointed because there is so much that you can do in Charlotte. If there's a trust and there's space left with me taking on or my partner taking on your event, I mean the ends of the world. Let's do it.
That's great stuff, man. I'm really excited for you. It excited me when you told me that you were going to do this, and also like I remember that conversation we had, and you told me in brief, and I was stoked for you, bro, and I still am. So
Thank you.
I'm super excited for the launch event that's going to take place in December, and ready to see where this thing goes. So it's a lot of it's definitely a lot of opportunity. And one of the things I was thinking about too, leading up to this recording, I was just thinking about you as well as many of my other friends, just embarking on their entrepreneurial journey. So it's
Yeah.
exciting, to see, it's like a movement amongst our
Mhm.
age group. And it's just really great to see that. And, everybody having their ideas and going to doing their own thing. Yeah, I'm excited for you. And there's no telling where this thing can go, but I know, knowing you and knowing the family that you have, like this is going to be something great, and this is going to be something exciting to watch. So, uh, I,
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you. So you
Thank
deserve
you.
everything that you have. Good, that's
Thank
going to
you.
come out of
Yeah.
this.
So I mean, you can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and elegancebytaj.com. But yeah, it's an exciting time. I'm meeting a lot of great people,
I
and
bet.
my mentors are actually feeding into this quite nicely. I wasn't expecting as much, but hey, man, people like me.
That's what they're there for. That is what they are there for. So,
Yeah.
yeah, mentor's a mentor, no matter what you decide to do. That's just like some of my mentors. Like, yeah, like, well, do it. Just make sure you go about it the right way. So,
Exactly. And my dad will be the first one to say that.
right,
He's practical and logical. I'm the dreamer.
right. That's what's up. You got a nice balance going there,
Oh
then.
yeah. Oh yeah.
If you could tell the listeners one more time where they can find you, I always like to make sure they know so they can keep tabs
Absolutely.
with everybody that comes on the SANE Show.
Yes, it's going to be elegancebytaj.com. And you can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
Well, you guys heard them. Elegancebytaj.com, and you can find them on Instagram and Facebook. I'll also, be tagging them when on the Instagram post for this episode. So you'll definitely be able to have tabs on that and be able to, check them out on those social platforms as well as their website. Taj, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. It's
Thank you for having me,
always
sir.
it's a pleasure, man. It's never a dull moment with you, and it's always
Hell
it's
yeah.
always a great conversation. Like for those of you listening, these are the kinds of conversations we have all the time. It's always a productive
Literally
conversation,
every time.
and I always look at it as like, you and I are helping each other build, you know what I mean? Like helping encourage
That
each other. And, if we ever have someone, like connection or something that can help the other person, we're willing to share that. So, thank you again. Really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come on. And again, I'm excited for everything you got going on. I want to thank the listeners. Thank you guys for staying dedicated. Thank you to all the people that have been subscribing, the previous or the ones that have been subscribed, the ones that have just started subscribing. Everybody from Canada to the UK to Germany, South Africa, India, China, Russia, everywhere. There's so many countries. I don't have the list in front of me, but shout out to all of you guys. The faithful SANE Show listeners. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. More great episodes to come. Go make sure you're following the SANE Show on Instagram. SANE_show. SANE_show. Facebook, the SANE Show, and then you can find us on every platform, listening platform, streaming platform. So be sure to check us out. Continue to tell your friends or family about the SANE Show and continue listening. With that being said, that is it for this episode of the SANE Show, the show about nothing and everything with my guest, founder and owner of Elegance by Taj Suri.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we're out.